morning, good morning, good morning. Let's see who's out here. Let's see who's out here. We're going to wait for some people to get on board. All right. Sid, peace, good morning. Demetrius, good morning. Jordana. Jerry was popping. Yeah. Give me a thumbs up for getting your name right. Damn it. I want my rewards. All right. Now, while we wait for some more people to get on here, y'all get all the little fun, juicy, behind the scenes fun facts. So, fun fact, it's Sunday morning. I've been cleaning up, been up for a while, doing work, whatever, cleaning up, Sunday morning routine. And so, fun fact is, I've been up in here like Ray J, turning my hat around in all different positions, trying to find a place on this hat where there wasn't no lint. But as you see, there is no place without lint. So forgive me for my little work hat Sunday and all that. So, y'all just have to rock with a brother. Okay. This is this is NBB, non-bougie broadcast. Okay. So this is how we get it. It's a Sunday morning. Somebody be like, he was all on there on Facebook Live with all that lint on his hat. Look. Because I be doing stuff like that. Like, didn't he see the length on his hat? I just want y'all to know I see it. See, like that piece right there? I see it. Look, I see it. I should get it. Boop. You know what I mean? I got it. All right, y'all. All right, so seriously, we're just going to wait for a couple more people and then we're going to get this going because I'm trying to be like in upful spirits, as we say with Rastafari, be in upful spirits. But these are serious topics that we have to go through, and in a minute it's not going to be so light and so cute and so on and so forth. But I try to keep it, reasonable. And not for nothing, this is how we practice these things. Zazito, if y'all watch Exposed by Depina, he says, do I be saying that about me? Nah, I just be saying stuff. You be having all sorts of contradictions going on. One time you had the American flag up on like this African painting. I was like, man, get that old rag, that nasty rag away from my African people, man. You know what I mean? All right. But all right, so, boom, 10 people. Let's go. I'm going to start with the grandmother. Because this is the easier one. And now we go right to rage. Many of y'all know I recently lost my grandmother. She passed away November 27th of 2017. Okay? So it's already been like now, this past November that just passed, that's a year. I'm not over it. She died of quote unquote natural causes, old age, that type of thing. Even though I do believe it was due to some of the, let's say, negligence in the place where she ended up, the last care facility she was at. But in any event, I digress. She died at 91. And, so I take the grandmother thing super serious. And on the black tip, y'all, culturally, our elders are so important. This is part of our, like our ancestral whole thing, right? So our elders are so important. The grandmothers, the grandfathers, right, are like the super. I mean, you're supposed to honor thy mother and thy father so that your days may be long in the land. You're supposed to respect your mommy and daddy, of course. But like the elders are revered to another level. And often because of the breakdown in American society, oftentimes our grandmothers have taken the place of the parents who Well, not there. So in my case, my mother was, around. She's not a crackhead or nothing like that. But she was busy, right? And she had a business. And she was, scrambling and grinding on her black woman entrepreneurial thing to make a thing. And so, it was like she had a super demanding business, right? And so my grandmother, was like, that's why I'm talking to you from grandma house, right? This is how I was raised. So it's a different level of respect for the elders. And then God, if you're so fortunate to have your great grandmother, or even in your lifetime to have even knew your great grandmother or your great great grandmother, grandfather, whatever, then you understand how special this is. So this woman who's a grandmother, who, God rest her soul, rest in peace to her, peace and blessings and condolences to that family, that neighborhood, that community, right? This is a L for everybody. Like, how do I want to break this down? So first of all, due to the, oh, B Cutie, you read my mind. That's exactly where I'm about to go. Exactly. So due to the fact and the sensitivity, they haven't released the lady's name. So we have to send up our blessings anonymously. Some people in the hood already know and whatnot. But, we don't have a name to say, God bless, Miss, Wilma Johnson or whatever, right? So, I want to do that, and say that first. Now, I want to take your mind to other cases of violence in this city where you've had, I know JoJo remembers. I want to say, was you related to him some kind of way, or your peeps? But the young boy, Malik Percival, right? There's been several young people over the years but I want to check, because this is what I've been thinking about now. I want to do the data check and find out the youngest victim of murder in this city and the oldest. Okay? And there have been many. So I think this is where a guy like me says, when we do our thing, we need to frame this. And there's been super babies, like, 2, whatever, 1, whatever. There's been young children. Remember the young lady, to this day, now she's, more grown up, what have you, but the young lady who was shot and put in a wheelchair, right? And this is, I'm going to get ready to go there by, for these reasons. He's definitely the youngest. All right. I just want to make sure I got his, you ain't gonna speak about the case, but please put his name here, please. I believe it was Malik, like Percival Andrade or not. No, Steve Odom. He was at the time, I don't know, but he was, he was going to school and, back and forth by himself. He was a young man. And this is what I want to say about the ages. When we go around here, look at the parks. Trina Prasad, right? Let's look at, Malik was way younger. Malik was like a baby. You know what I mean? Stephen Odom, God rest his soul, he was a young man. That's what I'm saying. It's like there's no, how do we gauge tragedy, right? It's all messed up. But because of the y'all know what I'm saying? I get angry sometimes when I get flustered. Because this thing has been sensationalized in the media, right? So now it's like, oh my God, oh, it was a baby, oh, it was an old woman, oh, it was this, it was that. There's been, okay, so he was 3. There's been 3, there's been, I know like 5, there's been 6, 7. Look, like I said, Trina Prasad, Jermaine Goffigan, how many? And then it goes on and up and up and up. Stephen Odoms. Then it goes on up into the teenagers and whatnot. Some of these people too, some of this stuff is police stuff. Some of them being shot by police. Let's enter that into the cipher, I know one of the oldest people to be murdered in the city was a reverend by the name of Aiseline Williams, and he was murdered by the police on mistaken, they came into the wrong door. My point is, now we have this situation of the grandmother. I want to know, now we now know the youngest, right? The youngest and the oldest in terms of how we do ourselves. Have y'all heard of the thing called man's inhumanity to man? And now with this whole Nipsey Hussle thing has been going on the internet and whatnot, people talking about, black people, what we do to each other and all that. I'm not trying to do the pig pile. We're not going to get super critical on black people. This is not part of the, da-da-da-da. But it is part of self-examination. We have to take a fair look at it. We take a fair look at it. So now we talking about black man's inhumanity to the black man, or, what we say, mankind, humanity, black people's inhumanity to black people. We don't treat each other well, which is what creates the overall scenario that this crap can even live in. This bacteria couldn't live if we did not create the warmth and the darkness that it needed to fester. And now we're going to go there. How did that little girl get shot and paralyzed? I know old boy. He's on a video. He talks about it. It's part of his now, turned his life around. And you could turn your life around, but you can't turn that clock back, though. And that's the point. He got to live with that the rest of his life. And she certainly got to live with that the rest of her life. On on a humbug little thing, blah, 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 blah. And, people still shooting like it's, Juice and Menace to Society and whatnot. You're doing all this and whatnot. Okay? And so now you ain't even hitting intended targets. Now that's bad enough if you got intended targets. That's bad enough. But goddamn it, I'm saying citizens, the civilians, they have to be goddamn off limits. And if you don't know that, if you got beef with Pookie, but one day you see Pookie and he's at the goddamn park and he's surrounded by 6 kids and 2 old people, well, goddamn it, either wait and follow Pookie somewhere else. He ain't gonna be there all day, right? I mean, do we have to talk about dumb stuff like this, right? You don't shoot in an environment. Everybody's mad, yo. Clearly, one of the messed up components here is that I don't think that they targeted the grandmother. No, I don't think you targeted. Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Jordana. Kai. She came to her and her moms. If you could, can you please put me back in contact with her moms? I like her moms. Her moms are super cool. They came to one of my first 10,000 strong Bostons. Please, if you can, reconnect me with that sister. So now cats is taking indiscriminate shots in the hood and whatnot. There used to be rules to this. Okay, my little introduction to the street life and whatnot. Back in the days, people was like we used to go jump people, mugging, robbing, whatever. So my first little thing, how a young man might get his first watch from his father, or might save up his little newspaper money and buy it, or whatever. You get your first wallet or whatever. I got mine from robbing cats. But back then when we robbed people, what did we do? I'm on Humboldt. What did I rob? I'm on Ruthven Street. I robbed somebody on Homestead and Crawford. That could be my cousin, my friend, no. We went to Brookline. We went to Cambridge. I'm ashamed to say it now. I mean, it sounds cool and all this type of stuff like that on some G-code stuff, right? But it ain't, I wish I never did none of it. But the mentality is, what I'm saying is that even at a young age, we knew we was not targeting our own neighborhood, our own people. I rob an old lady over here, and then 3 weeks later, Tyrone's at the store telling me, yeah, my grandmother got robbed by some light-skinned nigga. I'm like, whoa, see? You don't do dirt in our own neighborhoods. And when cats pull up and you're ready to wet that thing, if you see kids and a grandma, stop. Wait. Don't do it. And this is the thing for years, and I implore everybody. Look, I've been trying to work on this for like 20 goddamn years, okay? I want to say this word, but I'm not going to say it. All right, I'm gonna swear though. If motherfuckers was as gangster as they say, here's an idea I've been pushing for the past like 15, 20 years. All right. Based on, we've all seen the movie, Warriors and all this. What happened in Warriors? What happened at the beginning of Warriors? The brother Silas was trying to bring all the gangs together, blah, 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 he gets shot. Okay, boom. Okay, so the whole concept here is in Boston. First of all, we really don't even got no gangs. That's, number one, like gang. I've been around gangs, where you can pull up on a block and be like, take me to your leader, right? All right, gangs. In Chicago, gangs. LA, gangs. Okay, so we don't even really have gangs here. But for the sake of argument and what people be calling it, just for the vocabulary they be using, let's talk about gangs. What I'm talking about is trying to bring everybody together. I like White Stadium or something. And it's a no shoot zone that day. Citywide truce. But then see, the problem with truces is, there's always some little sucker ass motherfucker who will take that opportunity to, like, you know what I'm saying? You already know how that goes. There's always one little sucker, little hater. Right? Or a perpetrator, a fraud, an agent, an informant, you know what I mean? An agent provocateur, what have you. All right, so in any event, let's say we have something like that in White Stadium or whatever, or Reggie Lewis or whatever. Super security. Super outside security, like way out of perimeter, is the police. The insular security that we have to deal with at the facility, right, would be like Nation of Islam and whatnot. I wish Minister Dawn, like when I first had this concept, was like, this is after the Million Man March and all this, But in any event, all the official cats, some old school cats who still out there, some of them active, some of them not active, some of them got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but could still call a shot. Some of these cats, who's locked up and whatnot, who could still make some things happen, whatnot, because everybody push a button for like some negative bullshit, right? But we don't never push the button on terms of like real tangible efforts and solutions. And once again, I'm not the great kazoo or nothing. I only know the math because the math was given to me. It's a playbook. And I've seen it work elsewhere. So I'm trying to like share it here in Boston, but cats is slow, and they stupid. All right? And man, don't even get me started. Nobody making no money. Nobody here is really super tough. Cats is just, what they are here is cooked up. Just everybody's cooked up. So if we can, everybody get together, the gang summit. Now, if we're not mature enough and man enough, we all got kids. If we don't got kids, we all got mamas. We all got grandmamas. We came from somewhere. We did not hatch from the planet Nigatron, right? Okay. So when we come together, if we can't do it as a citywide quote unquote gang summit, right? Because I'm saying I don't see gangsters either, right? But what they call themselves. If we can't get the big citywide gang summit, then we got to do it neighborhood by neighborhood. So, for instance, around here, I know, man, I don't even know if I could pull together like this is the block I live on. So what do I print out? What do I print out? Invitations. I see my dudes around here, whatever. But to be able to say, yo, boom, this Saturday, this Sunday, I've tried it for years. It never seems to really come together the way you think. And, I get it. Because my street card, you never going to see. I'm never going to pull it out. Only those who know. And I prefer that no one knows. I don't know. Once again, this is new stuff. That's how I was raised, right? You don't never, none of that, okay? So as far as y'all know, I'm a poet. I'm an author. I wrote 2 books. I don't know nothing about nothing, all right? But I know how to fix this here, all right? So let's get back to the thing. So what ends up happening? Because there's no code, because there's no rules, because there's no enforcement, there's just cats out here willy-nilly, blah, 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 and you're shooting and paralyzing kids, you're hitting grandmothers that you don't even, man, like, you're not even good at what you say you good at. Let me just say that. I don't want you to be good at it. I don't want you to be a good shooter. I want you to stop shooting because you're not good at it. Stop it. The young people don't trust the adults. You have to earn their trust. Okay, so a dude like me, well, these kids, everybody got a little device in their hand now. Well, to any kid, Google me, kid. No time for that. Now I sound like the old man who used to be talking to me. You know what I mean? I got 30 years official and more of actual, tangible, verifiable, documentable work. And like earn my trust. I should need to earn your distrust. Okay? And not for nothing too. Every little young cat that I ran up on, I've never had a problem. They just, I'm not the preacher. I'm not a nonprofit. If you say something cute, you can get smacked. I'm like, I'm a regular dude. I'm not trying to be your daddy. I'm not trying to whatever. I'm not your peer. I'm not with the boys club and the mentoring program. And I'm not with all that. I'm a man. And if you're above that age where you think you're a man, whatever, I'll give you the respect. You're a man until you conduct yourself otherwise or whatever. It's like we trying to build out here. Well, in my case, so for instance, once again, in my case, I know all the influences in the hood. Okay? So, and at one point, I was one of them. To a certain degree, depending on what you're talking about with influence, I'm still one of them. Everybody recognize me, know me, but what does that mean? I can't even go into the corner store and get a free honey bun with that. Hey, Jamal, here's a free honey bun. Thanks for all your neighborhood service. It don't work. All right? Bless, Ross. It don't work. So my point is, it's one thing to say it and build with the youth and all that. It's another thing to say, yo, we're going to meet Wednesday at 6:30 and we're going to discuss this. I mean, not for nothing, bruh. If you got a better program, I'd like to see it in action, whatever, because I've tried it, bruh. I've tried it. I'm going to try again. The weather's clicking. Stuff like this pops off. I'm going to do it. Here's another problem. We so reactionary that an instance like this happens, right? An instance like this happens, and we're always operating off of the latest shooting. Oh man, 15-year-old girl, she got shot. That's crazy. So now everybody's on that. Or Oberg, baby, and we get something on that, and we still in all these years have neglected, well, not me, but many other people have neglected to put together the plan. Okay? For several times now, I done pushed out the Boston Black agenda. Most folks, and many of these folks will be doing a lot of this, never even submitted a thing. We pushed out 15,000 newspapers in the city, flyers, the whole shaboinking, okay? Not making it the Jamal Crawford show, but we created an online internet portal where you could just submit your own idea, put your name to it so you would get credit for all that. Like, we ain't doing none of that, We was going to compile like a people's constitution. The only people that responded was like my little group of friends. All the people I knew, was going to respond. Let me use an example. Sister Angela here. Me and Angela knew each other for a grip. She supports everything I do. She's, helped out on most of the stuff I do. For a grip. So if I put something out and Angela responds, not for nothing, no disrespect, Ange, because your opinion is valuable and all that. But I feel like that don't count. Right? Because now if it's just my friends who respond, that's not what we was trying to do. This thing needs to go viral, okay? Because other than that, I could have just sent an email to my friends, right? We need to get the community at large, and community at large will see it. They'll appreciate it, but they often don't participate. It's like voting. They often don't participate in it. So what I'm saying is, how do we pull all this stuff together to make this productive? To make this productive, right? To put together the plan, or at least push now for the plan. And then also, too, some of the people who've been calling for the plan shouldn't be nowhere on the planning committee, okay? Because then that's another thing. Some people, you got to watch out also, too, for the opportunists, who now, you already see them. They hop on every little hot button item, not to analyze it, not to try to develop a plan around it, but to capitalize on it. And you know what? Where was you? Where was you? All right, look. I'm about to get off this grandmother thing. The last thing I'm going to say about this grandmother thing. I also want the city and everybody to stop having stupid. Hold on, right quick. My cousin Charles Copney was killed in 1991. He was only 11 years old. He was just outside playing in the. I ain't gonna say that word again. I done did it a couple of my time. That's against my code. It's still out here doing that dumb shit. What's crazy is my aunt sees him in Dudley while she has to go to her son's grave. It makes her sick. This has been going on for years, and we as a people still not doing nothing. Wow. God bless you and your family. Peace and blessings, and my condolences to your little cousin. Hit me up offline if you'd like to talk about that. That's sad, and unfortunately, we got too many doggone sad stories like this, and it happens too many doggone times. All right. The last thing I want to say on the grandmother thing. Our city has to do better in terms of its quote-unquote professional administrative response. I could almost write it. Okay? In this case, the mayor. This is a tragedy. There's no place for this type of thing in our city. This is a horrible thing that happened. Boom. Boston Police Commissioner. This is a tragedy. This is horrible. No one should ever have to go through this. There's no place for this in our city. Okay. I'm going to leave the separate one because we're about to segue into that. Those two comments. File that under duh. So what happens is, not just the elected officials, the preachers, right? But most people, they really have nothing much to offer in the time of need, in the time of grief, in a time of tragedy. It's the same old speech, the same old canned phrases, okay? Now, the problem with that is, these are the same people who, let me just use myself as an example because I don't know what everybody else be doing. I can just speak for what I be doing. Now, these are the same people who for years, in many cases, this is before Mayor Walsh, before Commissioner Gross, before Commissioner Evans, right? This goes back, for me at least, for some decades. So for me, it's often hard to hear this rhetoric, this rhetorical answer or response. This is so horrible, when you have damn near rejected every opportunity to discuss anything involving changing the way that you handle any of this. Whether it's in the how to prevent these things from happening, right? Whether it's in intervention to intercede while they are occurring, or whether it is in the aftercare and what all the things that happen after, from trauma to everything else. So we know that there's major problems in all of those things I just spoke about. Some have been articulated by others. And, some people can harp on the problems. Some people even say they have solutions. Oftentimes their solutions involve them being involved, them running the program, them getting a check. You got to be careful for that type of stuff. Like, the mayor, you just need to, let me do it. Yeah, you got to watch that. Particularly when these people have no skills, no experience, and no track record of running anything but their mouths. All right? So now, when you think about now the response from the city, and everything is rhetorical, what do we do to implement? One time I remember, there was a case where a Cape Verdean sister, Eveline Barros Cepeda, was shot and killed in the back of a vehicle that was driving off. There was two dudes in the front, and she was in the back, and they was getting pulled over, and old boy put the pedal to the metal, what have you, tried to run from the cops. The police ended up shooting the cop, right? Hold up, B. I want to go back to that. Hold up. Shot in the car and killed the young lady who was a 20-year-old mother of, I believe she had 2 babies. Okay, so now she's dead. Boom. This is the one time that the tragedy actually turned into a policy. The policy was that this is when Boston Police Department is, quote unquote, no longer allowed to shoot into moving vehicles or shoot at moving vehicles, even though they've done so since. But that's another story. All right, but that translated into policy. But here, what we get oftentimes is just, oh, isn't this a tragedy? There's going to be nothing different in policies. Nothing different in all the things I've suggested. Everything from the gun database and the gun tracking system. Where are these guns coming from? What's the ballistics of the thing show? They know, but it needs to be databased. What is happening? What did she get shot with? What's the breakdown of the crime scene, right? And then, too, you want people's help in finding these people, but you don't give out a whole bunch of information. Right? Don't get me started, what have you. But people ask for the public's help, but yet they reject the public's help. You follow what I'm saying? Okay. Now let's see what B says. Well, how is that different when I see and read similar rhetoric from the community and the community do nothing? It's not. It's exactly what I'm talking about. It's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, no, it's the same exact thing. The only difference is, let me give you one significant difference. The only difference is that oftentimes, like me as an activist, and people who say, well, you always critique the police. Well, what you do? Well, the difference, let's say, between, I'm using myself as an example. Let's say the difference between me and the police is, I don't have a walkie-talkie. I don't have cars. I don't have an underwater scuba unit. I don't have helicopters, horses. I don't have a gazillion-dollar budget. I don't have 3,000 people that work for me. I don't have, the power of the law, the power of life and death in my hand, a badge, gun, a stick. I don't got a whistle. I can't do that on somebody. Okay? So oftentimes in the activist world, when we're compared or something, and also too, another thing is, we're not beholden to any, more has to be, I'm the biggest proponent of that. More has to be done. Community should not and cannot sit idly by as things happen in our community. But we also have to gauge who should be helpful, who should be out there. Let's just get on into this. Let's go next. All right. Once again, God bless that family. Rest in peace to this grandmother. This is a horrible thing. And hopefully things will be implemented to deal with this on the back end, more importantly on the front end, to prevent stuff like this, and certainly to be able to intervene if things like these are occurring. Okay, let's go on to Rachel Rollins. All right, so number 1, Rachel Rollins. Let me see here if I post something. Yes, let me see something. This is trying to be new. All right, so I just posted on my computer while I'm looking at myself. Okay, bang. Okay, I can see it. All right, cool. So in any event, some of y'all may have noticed that drastic measures for drastic change from everyone. Watch this, B. Watch where we going. Because see, people, it gets uncomfortable. Accountability. All right, let me just get into it. So number 1, first off, y'all see my profile pic. I changed it. Quick little, graphic I made. I encourage anybody, take that, go use it, share it, make it your profile pic or whatever for a day, whatever. I try to do something like that. I didn't spend a great deal of time on it. I could have made it more fly or whatever. I did not. I made it quick and I put it up there. Okay. If people, like stuff like that, then, I can make a flyer one, or better yet, good old Boston, somebody else will just make another one and, whatever. It's all good. All right, so drastic measures for drastic change from everybody. That's just so true. Beware the messenger, y'all. Okay? Don't kill the messenger, but beware the messenger. Okay? Some people, when they come and whatever. So I don't know what's happening with my phone just then. Let's see something. Okay. But there's a thing where every ally is not an ally. I'll give you an example. Sometimes people have tried to rep for me. I remember specifically when I ran for office. Some people was like, yo, man, I need a stack of flyers. And I'm like, nah, B. Thank you. Appreciate the love and all that. But the best way you can support me is by falling back. Why? Because, oftentimes it's a hot mess. So I don't want to, let's say, give flyers to a brother who I know, let's say, all the time I've known him is kind of pseudo-predatory and kind of creepy. And then now he going to have my stack of flyers. But the only people who's going to get the flyers is like 16, 17-year-old girls at the bus stop. And he going to be using it as an excuse to try to holler at them and creep them out. Because now he could leave a bad taste in all them people's mouth, thinking that I condone that, right? But see, I did condone it because, you didn't look at your volunteers like that. So that's how serious I took it, right? I'm not one of them people with just, anybody could just come along. Oh, no. We have a code of conduct over here, sir. Oh, absolutely. So, for me and too, and I cut them quick. So you can get cut off quick too. Because I don't need your help that bad. And also too, all help ain't good help. Like all money ain't good money, right? Some things it's better for me to turn down. Okay? I hope folks understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so now let's get into the Rachel Rollins. And what B Cutie brought up was like accountability. Once again, I'm gonna use myself as an example. Do y'all love me? Do y'all love me? Do y'all love your boy? I don't know. In this city of Boston, your boy has been dogged out super significantly. Very few people even be telling me, right? So every now and then, if people talk about me like 100 times, like 4 times, somebody that I'm cool with would be like, hey, yo, Ma, listen, I need to tell you this, that, the other, whatever. And some of the things I hear about myself are just so, man, if I was really fragile, it would make me cry. It really would. Because I've heard really, really bad and ugly things. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yep. So exactly, because it'd mess up my credit, street. And look, at the end of the day, this is what I be telling people. At the end of the day, I got to go to bed with me, right? I got to sleep with me. So I got to be comfortable with that. And that's why too, when people be accusing or whatever, I'm like, I know what I did and what I didn't do. Cause I was there. I was there when everything I did or said. And outside of some, a couple of, Hennessy nights or something like that where I don't remember, right? I'm good. Okay. So now, when I look at what happened to me in this community, and how I was dogged and portrayed, y'all be like, what does this have to do with anything? Well, because, today, in defense of Rachel Rollins, who I love, and a lot of people didn't love from the beginning, and a lot of people was kind of slick, disrespectful too, right? And sidebar, she better do this, she better do that, all right? Some people even rocked all the way with the other thing and flirted with this and that. But them same people have attacked me over and over. And whatever, people have always said, Jamal, well, you've attacked this one and that. Well, if you look at what I do, I don't attack. What I do is analysis, critique. Sometimes it can be harsh, but it's always fair. It's always factual based. I don't do name calling and none of that. In the case of like the most notorious, somebody like Tito, you're an elected official. And most of the stuff I'm talking about is your policy or stuff that's public. So people be like, yo, will you be coming at people? I do it very carefully and I'm kind of proud of it, which I pay so much attention to it, which is why I can say it. I don't do it like that. I don't do what they be doing, right? It's very different if you're paying attention and you peep the nuances. And I grew up in the 80s where all we did was crack on people. So I'm a pretty funny guy. So if I wanted to get to the name calling and the, I really doubt that anybody would be able to beat me at it. I'm an MC, I'm a poet. You don't want it with Hove. I'm pretty confident in my, clapback game, right? But I'm not into that. So I do a little boop, boop, boop. I make little witty, little comments, little sarcastic, little joints here and there, but it's never aimed at anybody to hurt anybody, right? Okay. So today, this Rachel Rollins event is being organized by Monica Cannon, which is unfortunate because I can't go. I can't go because I don't rock with that thing. And I wish that somebody in Rollins camp would know, like, not to rock with that either. And I wish it was just organized by somebody else that was not toxic and destructive. It'd be like, yo, well, why would you say that? Well, I just want to give you the one example. One example. And once again, I use me as an example because I'm going to tell you what happened to me. So do y'all remember at one point where her husband got on Facebook Live, made one of these video things, and was like, yo, I know where you live. I'm going to come pay you a visit. He threatened me. Now, not that I care, right? Not that I care, right? But that's just one of them things where, duly noted, should be noted, that the lady whose organization is called Violence in Boston, her husband threatened a well-known activist in the community who been here before both of them and threatened me with violence. I mean, and the only part of it is that it's laughable because once again, people don't know me. I don't care about that little whatever. That stuff is so, if y'all remember, I don't know how many months ago, look, he ain't came yet. He ain't came yet. Look. And don't even get me started. But in any event, the point is that these people are hypocritical. These people are dangerous. These people are toxic. All these things that we talk about purging our community of, but yet people will co-sign it and deal with it, right? And I can't. I'm principled. I'm moral. So even when the subject is something that I rock with, I've been supporting Rachel Rollins and shall continue to do so. I will not do so under a corrupt umbrella, under the Monica Cannon umbrella, which, in my opinion, she's just using because, what do the kids call it? Clout chasing? Is it clout? I think it's clout chasing. Or is it cloud chasing? I think it's clout. That would probably make more sense. I don't know. I'm an old man. But I heard the kids say it. I thought it was cool. Clout chasing. All right? So that's what I think. Trying to hitch your thing onto somebody else's, wagon or what have you. Okay? Because significantly, there is no place, a significant place in that discussion. And when we're talking about protection, and now this is what we're going to get into our sister, because I just want to frame it with that. All right? So now, screw that. We're not talking about that particular person or that thing anymore, that organizational thing. Now let's get on to the bigger fish to fry, Rachel Rollins. So since the very beginning, people have been so scared of this woman, even our own people. Because in the very beginning, I had to do so much backdoor talking and convincing the people once I was on board. And how did I get on board? Well, this is when I like the things of like how I'm able to practice, these things that I do, because they work. So when Dan Conley first was like, he announced he's not running for re-election. After I danced an Irish jig and did 3 backflips, right? And a James Brown split. After I did that, right? I began thinking about, well, who do we have who we could run for DA? Right? Who do we have that we can run for DA? And I started thinking about all sorts of stuff. And I thought I'm thinking Andrea Cabral. I'm thinking, I don't know if y'all know this sister, Natasha Tidwell, off of the, she was on the co-op, the Community Ombudsman Oversight Panel. But this is what I'm thinking in my mind. But before, I'm making phone calls and this, and I start talking to people. And I call people like Senator Diane Wilkerson. I call people like Tanisha Sullivan. And I'm like, yo, ooh, we need to get a sister, and it'll be, yo, it could be this one, it could be that one. It's like, yo, Jamal, we already talking. Is it? Do you know Rachel Rollins? Like, oh, okay. I'd already heard about her because Cornell had been recommending her to me because when she was the head of the NAACP Legal Redress Committee, and we was doing our police thing and our criminal justice thing, he often would be like, yo, we got to link with Rachel's, and we just never had time to link. You know, I'd be moving a mile a minute, never had time to link. So now, months later, when they're like, oh, yeah, Rachel, I'm like, okay, yeah, I've been hearing about this. They put me on to the whole resume, the whole thing. Zang. I had a conversation with her. Zang. It's like like love at first sight. We don't even need a second date. Let's get married, right? I'm married to the DA, right? Like as soon as like that was a candidate that you feel so confident in, you just like boom, yep, you got my support, unequivocally, right? And also too the gap was so wide between now it's like a horse race, or no, let's not use horses. It's like a running race where the gap between Rachel as the leader of the pack to the next closest person behind her and the rest of the pack was so wide that I'm just like looking at other people like, yo, y'all don't see this? I'm talking about early on. I'm talking about before the first forum. But the first forum just could have been the last forum. Okay? And once again, because your brother like me be on black excellence and whatnot. Look, you can't say my favorite perfume is, White Diamonds by Liz Taylor or whatever, and then not notice it when you smell it. So I love black excellence. So I saw it, I smelt it, I was like, ooh, this smell like, well, that's the song. This smell like Teen Spirit. This smell like black excellence. Okay. And then from that moment on, she not only continued to perform, but she performed, once into, I know like her daughter runs track and all that too, so it's probably a good analogy. But, her very first time was already ill. But then every time at every track meet after that, she just kept improving her time, breaking her own records. What you say? If many can't rock with you and have known you a fact base, this needs to be contagious. If any are rocking in today's world without facts, they're not relevant. Keep pushing. Oh, absolutely. You already know that. That's all I can do. Yep. Kick and push it along and all that. All right, so Rachel Rollins, who just comes in, what is rolling with Rollins. Another great idea I had, and I was like, yo, man, like, yo, the slogan should be like rolling with Rollins. They was like, yo, we already got that. I'm like, dang, great minds think alike, but it like made sense. And so Sister is now crushing it. Now the opposition. The opposition began from the beginning. This ain't new opposition. This is all fired up and ready to go. This is re-energized opposition. These are the same people. Okay, her base of hate, right? The hate support, her anti-support is all of Dan Conley's old followers, plus any of Greg Hennigan's new followers, because he inherited all of Dan Conley's old followers, plus any new ones that Greg Henning picked up, plus all the other haters of Shannon McAuliffe's campaign, Evandro Cavallo's campaign, Linda Champion's campaign. So you got all that in the mix. Then, on top of that, assign that with all the law enforcement now from Boston to Bingham, who is going crazy. Whoever runs against her next is going to It's gonna be sick. Something is happening here. Okay. Oh, my phone is running out of space. I don't think I got a card in here. All right. In any event, so the next point is, so these folks is super mad at her, and these folks are super mad at her, and they've mounted a campaign, and they have super $1 million to attack her, to raise another candidate, whether Greg Henning tries to come back, or, you know, whether it's whatever, you know. Remember how it used to be Godzilla, then like the son of Godzilla or something, you know, it might be like the son of Dan Conley, you know, the Revenge, you know, part 2, you know, the Empire Strikes Back type of thing. Because they are really, really, really having a problem with this. Really having a problem with this. And the city is too. The city of Boston is too. They're trying to play it a little bit cooler because of the politics involved, but they're not happy. All right? And then now the next thing, the Charlie Baker. Now watch this and watch how they do a black woman, because it started off early. So it all started off with a couple of ways that Rachel Rollins has been disrespected. Now in the beginning, her race was called up. Remember? Is she black enough? Well, she black and she white. Is she black enough? Well, what you think now? Is she black enough now? What you think now? Is she black enough now? I have a poem in that where I'm like, is I black enough for? No, I was like, ain't I black enough for yous? Is she black enough now? Are there any questions into her blackness right now? These are the problems with what ignorance does. So she was attacked originally for not being black. Okay, now, next one. She was attacked for not being from here. She ain't from here. Is she repping for the hood? Is she repping for the hood? Is she up to your... Is she repping for the black and Latino and the poor people of all these urban communities that she represents now? Is she repping for you? Good. Because the question was if she's going to have some sort of allegiance to the hood. So now, are we clear on that or no? Is she repping good? Is she repping more than other people who you would have co-signed that they was repping for before? Now, once again, not to dog out old boy, but, you know, somebody else said no Tito. I'm going to use him as an example again. But, you know, Tito lived right up there in Grove Hall. I don't want to say his street. Y'all, most of y'all already know. But he lived in the hood. Tito's in the hood. Okay? You ever seen... He was an elected official for, what was it, 6, 7, some many years, whatever. You ever heard Tito talk like... You ever heard anybody else talk like this? You ever heard anybody else, any other black elected official talk like this or take such a strong stance as this woman here? Anybody? No, you haven't. Okay. People like me were not talking about support like now. We were supportive from the beginning, and we had these conversations from the beginning. So much so that concerned about her security. How do you get home from meetings? Right? Who's going to be your driver? You have to have a police detail around you. Who's going to be that? Concerned. Soldier Boy. Concerned? Okay? A lot of y'all it's Facebook games. It's Facebook games. It's like the people who have solved the Nipsey Hussle murder. You know, and it was Chinese and Russian mafia combined with, you know, the aliens and all this type of stuff. All right? So all of these type of questions that were had in the beginning. And let me do another thing. This is going to be unfair. I'm not a spokesman for the campaign and nothing because she wouldn't condone this because it's not classy. I'm going to do it though. I want you to now compare. I said a little bit of it the other day, but now, you know, I've read most of it. I got to read it again. The 66-page memo that she released. indicates that people was rocking reading and understanding, comprehending, and be able to give you some sort of, coherent analysis of it, let alone have written it. So I just want you to imagine for a minute. Imagine, and that's no besmirchment to her. I'm not calling her stupid. Imagine if Shannon McCullough was our DA. Would they have even released a 6-page memo, let alone 66 pages? And if so, what would be contained therein? Man, people make me mad. Okay. So now, Baker. I generally like Charlie Baker. As far as white politicians go, decent, smart. He's a Republican, but he seems reasonable and honest. But this is how, when you scratch the surface a little bit, they can't help that inner white man thing comes out. So Baker's administration, unprecedented, never before in history, felt compelled to comment on an elected official's job performance or what they felt about this, that, the other, of which they have no purview or say so. You're going to critique this the State House. You want to go critique the MBTA. Fix that. How about that? Oh, I'll give you a good one. Since it's, criminal justice and law and stuff, go fix the probate courts. I'm going to call that dude, too. I'm going to watch, y'all. I'm going to call that dude like Monday. Trabuco, whatever his name is. Like, hey, you know that the probate courts are a mess, right? A mess, a hot mess. Okay? Children being separated from their families right here. Okay? And you talking about this woman? I got a couple more things you should not prosecute on that list. Like child support. How about that? Okay? Listen. So then they go into what they do with falsehoods. A personal attack. How is it a personal attack when the incident she talking about was in the newspapers? How's that a personal attack? Did she reveal some secret that nobody knew about? It was in the newspapers. This is what used to happen with me with Tito. People like, yo, you attacking him personally. I can't attack him personally if I'm critiquing an article that was in the Boston Globe. Okay? Y'all don't understand. You don't know the rules. You don't know the words, the context. Okay? So it can't be a personal attack if you're talking about something publicly. Okay? Great example, for those who need, little dumb analogies. Kodak Black recently made a comment about Nipsey Hussle's now widow. Okay? It's a public occurrence, right? But he went outside the public occurrence of Nipsey's death to make a personal, slimy, little sarcastic sneak diss that can really get you popped in your mouth, at old boy's wife. Right? That's personal. An attack, whatever. It was classy. That had a personal hinge. This doesn't. She didn't say anything inappropriate. She stated, what do the kids call those? Facts. So what she said was, first of all, a matter of public record, not personal record. It's not like she had this information because she was privy to it as the DA and it wasn't in the public and then she brought it up. That would be a personal attack. She talked about publicly what we all saw, that the governor's son was taken off of a plane at Logan Airport for what a woman said that he sexually assaulted, groped her, what have you. It's a big deal, right? Right. If you or I did it, what would happen? Right. But what happened, and then they're trying to come at her like, oh, well, she said the state police investigated and the attorney general took it over. She doesn't even know what she's talking about. The attorney general took it over. Right. The attorney general took it over. Who'd they take it over from? State police. Meaning the state police had the case first. Meaning that when the call comes into Logan, a plane lands and there's a passenger on there who's been accused of sexual assault via groping. Who's the first person to respond? Who do they call? The Attorney General's office? No, state police come. Because state police has jurisdiction over mass portings, da-da-da-da-da-da. So state police come. State police is the one who take him off of the plane and put him into custody. I don't want to say arrest because I don't think he was arrested. Henceforth the point. You see what I'm saying? Preferential treatment? Yeah. Just because you're the governor, right? But just because you, as she said, if you just take that alone. Daddy got a lawyer on deck already. It's okay. It's all right. You're not even going to spend the night in jail. And I don't know if it was on a weekend or whatever, right? But so was there preferential treatment? Of course. So what she said is every family does not get the benefit of what the Baker family experienced. I would certainly say so. Moreover, to me, the problem is that these things that people are accused of, when they themselves are the quote-unquote moral police, the state police is mad. The state police is mad with Rachel Rollins about these 15 crimes that she won't prosecute. I bet you'd be happy if one of the things that they didn't prosecute was time card and overtime fraud, though, huh? Then you'd be okay with that, huh? What about drunk driving? You'd be okay with that, huh? What about domestic violence? You'd be okay with that, huh? So the same Boston police and state police who are mad with Rachel Rollins about these 15 damn crimes, I think maybe they're just mad because that ain't the crimes that they be committing. They don't do too much shoplifting and stuff like that. They do serious stuff like steal drugs, shoot people, beat their wives, and drive drunk. I mean, and once again, don't think this is Jamal just being harsh. These are, as the kids say, facts. This is documented stuff. It's not me. It's in the Boston Herald and the Boston Globe. All the time this happens. All the time. There was recently a newspaper article in the Herald that I pointed to that was written in 2016. So the Herald article was in 2016, and it said, since 2011, the Boston Police Department has investigated 48 complaints of domestic violence. 48 from 2011 to 2016. 48. It's a lot. Do you think it's a lot? I think it's a lot. I'm interested. That was 2011 to 2016. I'm interested in what the number is now to 2019. And I'm interested in what the number is if we go back to the year 2000. Yeah, I remember Conan O'Brien used to do that. He used to crack me up. But yeah, if we went back to the year 2000 up to now 2019, how many cases of domestic violence did the BPD and the state police have? Drunk driving. But Rachel Rollins, she the problem now. She the problem. I get it. Okay. So, can't be a personal attack when you're discussing a public thing that was in all the major goddamn newspapers, and it's a matter of public record. So that public record personal attack. And what did she laugh at him? She made fun of it? No, she brought up a case, a very relevant case, to say that talking about power and how powerful people's families are treated different. Well, who's the most powerful person in the state? Not in reality, but in the political little thing that they say, the little magical political spell. That says that Charlie Baker is more important than everybody else because he's the governor. He's like the president of the state. So if something happens to him and his family, do you think that that's the same that happens to you and your family? Of course not. Not because we care, but because the world cares. The world cares. We know that Charlie Baker farts just like you and I fart. We know that he's just a regular human, just like everyone else is, right? But the difference is that the way the world perceives, and they treat some better than they treat others. Now, he's not here and we're not here, right? That's not the true case, but that's the way it's treated in the world. So what she talked about is actual facts. Can't be a personal attack. It was actually a social critique. Referencing and using a recent, she didn't dig up something from 5-10 years ago, using a recent public case in the media as an example or as an analogy. That's fair game in all the rules of public speaking and debate. And she's the DA. And it had a criminal element to it. So you're going to tell me the DA, woman, you better not be talking about no criminal stuff. That you out of place. You better stay in your place, missy. Because that's the attitude of what it comes from. That's what it comes from. Okay? So this is why, to me, it was important to make the little thing that I made, my little profile pic, what have you. And if y'all peep what it says in there, right? I stand with her. Right? No. What does it say? We stand with her. Right? Black excellence. Black woman magic. Hands off. Rolling with Rollins. Bruh, this lady needs support, but she needs real support. Not with people who gonna do the rah-rah shish boom bar. We gonna have a rally and all this type of stuff. We don't need a rally. We need a strategy session and a think tank. But them people can't be in it because they don't think too good. See? So what we need to do is pull together our best minds. We need to be thinking about this. Brothers need to be wrapped around at all public events that are in our community and other ones that they can make. These are the type of tangible things we can do. And in terms of policy, I'm still waiting on working with the office in terms of the marijuana expungement that's coming out, because that's going to be a whole nother thing. People are going to go crazy all over again, right? As well as the independent investigations with police, which right now she's already begun to set up an independent unit to investigate police, but it's only in the cases of brutality or murder. No, there needs to be independent investigations of police for anything. All those things we just mentioned. Domestic violence, drunk driving. I don't want an officer going before, I want them going before an independent body with anything that they do wrong. Anything. All right? So in any event, all right, y'all, that's it. I stand strong in support of this woman, but a lot of the sycophants and the people I think who are just trying to be social climbers, or some of them might really mean well. They might really support. They might really, oh, my phone was ringing, so you didn't hear it. Man, I can't say all that all over again. Y'all get the gist. God damn. But support Rachel Rollins, all right? And she needs real support, tangible support, intelligent support, not just this willy-nilly, rah-rah, shish boom bah, you go girl, da-da-da-da-da. It needs to be a little bit more substantive than that, okay? So we need to get the real great minds in the building and really think about, what's really real. And many of us are already on it. I would like to be able to support this event today, but I can't just for that reason. Some of the people who are supporting her, I don't trust their sincerity or their motivations. And maybe even if they are really just like, hey, we want to support the sister, they're not the proper people to support. And the analogy that I gave in the beginning. If I'm running for office and I got stacks of flyers that I want passed out, everybody can't pass out my flyers because you're representing me and you might be misrepresenting me. You might be, conducting yourselves in conduct unbecoming, right? What have you. I got rules, I got codes of conduct. That's what's got me through my life all this time, and that's what I'm rocking with to the end. All right? So that's it. Not for nothing, Diego. We need to get, because see the whole Cheddar Man Cave and all that, this is another thing. You was on it, but a lot of times the conversation just really be on some gangsters, just some street shit. We need to link up and make that thing merge, bro. So get at me, bro. Sooner than later, bro. Let's go. All right. So lastly, once again, y'all take that my profile pic, use it if you want, share it, whatever. If folks want to use it for solidarity and support, please do. If there's an interest, I'll make another one, Illa or whatever. And lastly, there's a lot of, I want to just be clear about this. When I'm talking about her, because I know her, I'm striving not to do the whole Rachel thing. These are the things I did, like, you know, with Ayana, or all these things. We have a tendency to call the people that we know first name basis. That's nice. We're familiar. A lot of these people are not stuck up, so they be like, yo, you can call me this or that. Da-da-da-da. But then when that white man come around, yes, sir, Mr. Governor Baker. Oh, Governor Baker. Yes, sir, Mr. Governor. Okay, I'm not really into that. So, I do try to pay respect to the office. So I really try to respectfully refer to her as DA Rollins, District Attorney Rollins, right? DA Rachel Rollins. Let's, let's put some spec on her name. Put some spec on it. When we're referring to her in Facebook and all that, I think that's one small thing that we as a community can do just to show, that level of respect and all that. The other thing is, I've also come up with an affectionate nickname that I'm going to call her on the hood, and that's Queen DA. All right, Queen DA. So spread that. Run tell that. Queen DA. Matter of fact, look, I'm going to do that in the hashtags and all that. All right. Let me put that in there right now. All right. All right. Be good. Have a great day today. Let me get out here. Have a great day. Be great today. Do something great today. Tell somebody you love them. Better yet, show somebody some love. Show some love to a youth or an elder. All right, and push. So push through the pain to the power.